Everybody, I'm Tara from Crooked Row, and today I want to talk about struggling plants just a little bit. So it's sort of struggling plants, but it's also harvesting your herbs. So one thing is, if you remember back when I had made a video about, do you remember what that was called, Elijah? Was it called How to Prune Your Basil? I think, yeah, How to Prune Your Basil. In that, I had some basil starts that I had made for my mom, and it was in a pot surrounded by a tomato plant, and they were like the saddest looking basil plants I've ever seen. But I pruned them and I fertilized them pretty good with some liquid fish fertilizer. And basil doesn't really flower unless you have like a cardinal basil, which that tends to flower. Thai basil will flower, and a lot of times we're not growing them for the flowers, we're growing them for those beautiful leaves. And so you can hit them with as much nitrogen as long as it's like organic. You can hit them with nitrogen. If it's synthetic, be very careful because you can burn your plants. But I was hitting them with that fish fertilizer, and I want to show you the results from it. Look how humongous these are. I mean, we are talking, these have just been on the side of my carport, and these are absolutely huge. I mean, we're talking at least 2.5 feet. We have off of every one, like this has 3 big kind of main trunks coming off. So before I give these to my mom, I'm going to take some cuttings from these and dry them. And we'll work on the sage today too. Okay, so I am going to take these down to where they can still be bushy and regrow. So if you look, this is a growth point where there's 2 leaves, and they'll usually shoot out other arms above the 2 leaves. That's what I cut right here so that it can still keep growing. So here, Selah and I are in my perennial garden that's right in front of my greenhouse. And if you watched What to Do with Lemon Balm, you saw how much we actually cut that right to the ground. I mean, I had like 36 bundles of it, and look at how beautiful that has come back. I mean, oh, I love lemon balm. It's so easy to grow. If you are not growing lemon balm, you should. It's easier to grow than mint. Like, we've had really good luck with it. But for today, right behind me is Royal Candles Speedwell. I'll show you that. Right here, it's at its end of its life. I'm gonna have to cut these. I dread it because look at the pollinators. I mean, they love this plant. Oh, I just love it. They're all over too. And even tiny, like little different types of wasps and flies and all sorts of pollinators are all over this plant. And over the echinacea right here, you can see the pollinators are loving that. And of course, this is yarrow. It's beautiful. I love it. I believe that's called Firefly from Proven Winners. But all of these plants are just, oh, I actually love them. But what we're really counting on is this sage plant. Now, word of caution, I should have done this before it flowered. It has flowered and the flowers are gone. So I'm taking this from the second flush. You really should have done this in the spring with the first flush, but I'd rather have my sage than store-bought sage. So I am going to, this is my 2nd year with this plant as well. So I'm not even going to worry about how harsh I'm cutting this because I will have to replace this most likely anyway. So Selah is going to hold these for me while I cut. This will be good with turkey, huh? Uh-huh. I also found a mess of onions we're gonna put in this bucket. Okay, so we have our sage and we have our basil, and I get my butcher's twine that I always use because I love it. And I'm just going to create bundles. I want these to have plenty of air when they dry, so I am going to not overload them. So this is going to be about enough. And I'm going to cut my string, and then I am going to, so see how these have V's? These are pretty strong stems, and I'm going to just loop these through these stems, and then I'm going to tie them together. Well, there you have it. We have them all tied. They are ready for me to hang in my kitchen. I love to see them when they're fresh and green, and then as they dry. I have to say that sage is like the showstopper, because even when it dries to almost, it's not glossy, but like a silvery patina to it. Oh, I love sage. And the basil looks just so classically beautiful anyway. So I'm gonna let these dry. I'll probably let them dry for at least a few weeks until they feel completely brittle. And then I'll just crumble them up and I will put them in spice jars, and we are ready for the winter. So if you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. We'd love to answer your questions, and we love to see how you do things as well. But this is all from a second cutting. So remember, if we can take our herbs from a second cutting of herb flush, anybody can. Thanks. Bye.